Is it working? It is working. Is it working on Twitch? Chris is biting nails. Me too. Is it working on Twitch? Hey, I can hear myself. Chris is... It is now working. We're currently live on Twitch and on YouTube and here on the Be With Artists stage. And we've got a nice crowd, a nice family here. And Michael Solomon. Oh, nice. I guess I'll invite you to speak. Why not? And also, Yad, would you like to come up since you're one of the developers? Hello, Solomon. I'm just doing a quick sound check before we begin today. And we should be good to go.
Loud and clear.
Perfect. Anyway, Michael, it's also nice to meet you in person. I also invited Iyad, who's one of our core developers today. He's a very special person to me, and I'm very happy that you come onto the stage. And we've got Ethan and Chris. Both of them have competed in the competition, and we also have another new name in the audience. So I'm really happy to do this today. And I'm really happy to start with episode 103 with the Be With Artists live Q&A. Today's topic is the Bforartists 4 Splashscreen competition winner event. So it's really exciting because we get to talk about and look at the new features from Bforartists 4.1.0, and we get to look at everybody's great art. So let me just do a quick ping onto Twitter, just to show that I am online. And we'll start from there. 3 seconds. Actually, I've already done that. Okay, so we are now live. So this is a new and exciting release of Bforartists, and we've had 8 submissions. Last competition, we had 7 people compete. And this time we have an extra user compete, putting themselves out in the waters into the deep end, and we have some regular artists also compete this time around. So we've had a very meditative and thoughtful process of judging these pieces in a very similar criteria from last time. But before we start announcing the winners, let's take a closer look at the prizes. So let me just bring up the first prize. Where is it? So if you haven't had a look already on my website at trinimedia.com/events/competition, we have a number of prizes. So in first place, we have a Spock, a structured sci-fi packer kit, and Sci-Fi Flex version 2. Both of these are done by Chip Walters and Anthony Aragas. And we also have the Tree Forge kit. So this Spock add-on is a value of 29 USD, so it's quite a decent system. And the really nice thing about this is that you can practically build anything that you want from for sci-fi paneling and other things like this. So let me just see if I can bring up an actual information on the prizes. Here we go. So first prize, Sci-Fi Flex. And let's bring up these images. So Sci-Fi Flex, it gives you a kind of a displacement and object modeling kit to give you the ability to create all these details inside of your scenes. And it uses procedural tools and add-on system to help you quickly apply all of this amazing looking sci-fi detail with all these really cool little pipe packs and things like that, and also displacement maps and textures and materials. Really nicely done hard surface modeling, and all of these comes in and you can apply these with a click of a button. So it's a geometry and displacement generator. So this is quite a cool pack, especially if you're into like space scenes and things like this. So it's a pretty hefty and Very nice and generous work done by Anthony Argos, who's also very active in the BPY Discord server if you're interested in the Blender API interface. So with that, we also have their second add-on, which is called Spark, and they both come together. So with Spark, it's a very similar system. Let me just take a closer look on, this is what we have here. So Spark is a sci-fi generator with an algorithmic modeling system, which packs in different types of details onto your meshes. I'm not exactly sure how it works yet, so I can't give you a tutorial on how to use it, but they have released a tutorial just recently to give you information of how to work these things. So if we take a closer look at these images and what this add-on does, which are already loaded, it gives you sci-fi corridors, it gives you all these paneling and controls and buttons and all of these monitors and switches and paneling and even screens and monitors and graphics. It's actually quite a really interesting way to add in some intentional purpose to your sci-fi elements. So these two add-ons together really can up your detail game for a very nice tool set to get it going. So this is the first prize. And on top of that, we also have the prize for the tree forge. So if I just load up the tree forge, just give me 1 second. Where is it? Oh, it's here. So the tree forge add-on is a node group, a geometry nodes group designed to help generate trees, created by a good friend of mine, Barella, from Italy. And he has created a relatively optimized and also very flexible tree generation system with geometry nodes to give you the power of curves and instances to bring out a number of different types of trees. So it's a very complete packs of tree presets, and you also have the ability to just generate the trunks or other thing, or the leaf systems, and it makes it quite performant to some degree, especially really nice for your realistic renders and architectural renders and maybe a spaceship landing on a planet somewhere. So this has a value of $12 and you get all of these three add-ons as first prize. For the second prize, we also have something slightly on the more educational side of things, and this is a course, a geometry nodes course from nodegroup.xyz, hosted by the one and only Arendelle. So Arendelle has kindly shared the choice of, as a second place, you get to choose which course you want and which one you like to study. So there are a lot of things about advanced geometry nodes to get you started with procedural modeling, infinite Pong, arraying objects, and the ones that I like the most are the simulation nodes. So these types of courses about the simulation nodes are really good, especially with voids, erosion, and balls, bouncing balls. So there's a lot going on here, and you can pick a course of your choice, which has a value between 35 to 50 British pound. So it's a great deal and a great prize. And you can walk away with the Tree Forge Node Group by Barella and a course. And for third place, well, you also get another copy of the Tree Forge Geometry Nodes Group for procedural trees. So everybody else, well, there's also a bonus. And this bonus is basically, I will be able to compile a custom build of Bforartists specifically just for you with your splash screen. So thanks for playing, and I will give you a copy of Bforartists with your splash screen compiled in, ready and waiting for you. So without further ado, would you guys like to know who are the winners? Okay, we'll go from there. Yes, definitely. All right, let's go. So we'll start from the bottom. From the lowest to the last, to the highest. So basically, my system of evaluation is based on 3 groups of skills. So the first one, if we take a closer look here, Our first set of skills is originality. The second set and creativity. And after that, we have aesthetics, technical skill, and then the Bforartists bonus. If you used the fork in your render or in part of the process, and you proved it with the screen capture, there is a small bonus. So total is up 100 points, and originality has 20 points, style is 10, story has 10, composition is 10, lighting is 10, detail has 10, technical skill has another 20 points, and the Bforartists bonus is 10 points. So let's take a look and see who is at the beginning. So the first piece that we have today is done by Excalibur. Excalibur has created a piece with a flying logo with hard surface, some trees in the background, a cow and some hills with a nice watercolor looking sky. And his points for originality, well, out of 20, I gave him 8. I gave him an effort for trying and doing a good job. The style was 5 out of 10. There's room to improve. He mentioned a really nice message that everybody played very well, and I take my hat off for you throwing in your piece, and I'm really happy that you could play. With your story, 6 out of 10. I don't know what's going on, but I like what's happening. And when it comes to composition, you actually did an excellent job. Composition is 10 out of 10, Excalibur. So if you watch this for later, I'll put up the scoreboard. Your composition was great. You fit in the logo nicely. It's kind of an interesting balance. And with that, it's quite cool. When it comes to lighting, it's a little bit flat, but that's possibly part of the style. So I gave you 2 out of 10. And with detail, there's some which has a lot of detail and other ones have very little detail, especially on the terrain. So the balance of detail is a little bit unbalanced. So I give it 3. But since this is one of your first pieces, and for your courage and your technical skill, I give you a 5 with the 10 bonus, and a total, with that you have a total of 49 points out of 100, which is pretty good for a first try. I can't wait to see your future work. Can't wait to see where you take it and how you're going to take it. So from there, we move on to the next position. So next position is done by Blend Creator, the ship's orb, which is actually quite a decent piece. So Blend Creator has created an orb, and this orb is inside a small dusty studio with a nice dim warm light. There's some coins on the floor and some gems on the table, and inside the sphere there's a stormy piece of water with 2 ships kind of engaging with each other. The story was really good. I really thought this was a great originality, and I gave it 16 out of 20 points. When it comes to style, the style was, I guess, hitting realism, but it didn't quite hit the mark, but it did do a relatively good job. So I gave it 6 out of 10. And when it comes to the story, I gave it 8 out of 10. The story is clear. It is quite fantastical and very important and interesting. So from there, I hit a little bit of an issue when it comes to the composition. So the central symmetrical composition with the asymmetrical logos unfortunately didn't quite hit the mark, so I gave it 5 out of 10. But when it comes to lighting, it is a good image, but the contrast and the readability of the hero assets and with the composition could have been improved to bring out that story of what is actually happening. Like if we zoom in closer, we can see that there are cannons and they're shooting at each other in the storm and the water, which is absolutely amazing. If you had focused on that a bit more, it would have really brought your score up. So with your lighting, it was 6 out of 10. And with the detail, you had amazing amount of detail. It was really nice. But with the massive amounts of detail in the water and on the ships and then everything else being a little bit slightly lower detail, especially on the table, for example, I had to balance it out with 8 out of 10. For technical skill, I gave you 13 out of 20, which is quite good, with a total of 62 points. So nice work, Blend Creator. Nice work. Coming up, we've got a piece done by Energy. So Energy has done a piece which I really like. It's an NPR piece, and it's actually quite a large piece with a lot going on. So for originality, I thought it was a really curious idea. I've never seen something like this with like a space mermaid with a wormhole, tail, teleportation, and things like that. I have no idea what's going on, but I gave it 18 out of 20. When it comes to style, you really hit that NPR 2D style really well, so I gave you 10 out of 10. When it comes to the story, it's got a lot going on. I'm not sure what is going on exactly, but you did a good job of it. So I gave you 6 out of 10. And from there, composition. So if you noticed, the picture is quite large. When I added in the logos, I unfortunately had the logo right on top of her head. And so the composition was a little bit difficult to fit, but I did pull it down a little bit. And since you rendered it quite a high resolution, yeah, I managed to kind of refit it. So I gave composition of 6 out of 10. And I guess Chris Bird says that this has an Among Us vibe. I guess it does, I suppose. When it comes to lighting, the lighting is actually quite good. It is flat, but that's part of the style. So, and the legibility is quite good. So I gave you a 6 out of 10. And with detail, you have a lot going on, but at the same time, it's very minimal. And you've done quite a really good job on the hair, not going to lie. And the scales, things like that. Yeah, the astronauts in the Among Us. Yeah, I see it now. So I gave you 6 out of 10. For skill, 12 out of 20. The Bforartists bonus with your screen capture, which I really liked, I gave you 10. So well done. So in total, 74 points. The piece after this, with a total of, is Zach. So Zach has been working with geometry nodes to deform Gaussian splats and also geometry of photoscanned flowers to a quantized grid screen space, which I thought was very clever. He's done multiple of these pieces and he decided to submit this one for the Splashscreen competition. And I thought it was a very clever idea. So with this one, for originality, I gave it 20 out of 20. And for style, it really is a really unique illustrative style, and I gave it 10 out of 10. With the story, I'm not sure, well, it is a graphic and an illustrative concept, so the story is a little bit difficult to qualify and quantify, so I give this 6 out of 10. For composition, the pieces work relatively well, so 7 out of 10. With lighting, since it is a bit more of an abstract piece, it is difficult to light, but he did a relatively legible way of doing it, though the colors of the clash of the colors is a little bit curious. So I gave it 6 out of 10. But when it comes to detail, 9 out of 10. For skill, I still have no idea how you did this with geometry nodes, so I gave you 20 out of 20. So in total, 78 points. Well done, Zach. Who's coming next? We're getting close to the winners. We're getting very close. So the next runner-up is Soy Color. So Soy Color has created a very beautiful and serene, realistic piece with beautiful sense of camera depth and lighting. So for originality, it is a landscape piece, worked with displacement and sculpting and modeling and such with some really nice water. So I gave it 15 out of 20. And for style, you hit the realism and the camera lens effects very well. So I gave you 10 out of 10. For story, I like that it's very serene, it's very calm, so I gave it 8 out of 10, and you hit that goal quite nicely. And for composition, you really took into consideration the logo and your name, so I gave it 10 out of 10. Nicely thought out. For lighting, I also like the way that some of it's in the shadow, the light is coming in from the sky, and I gave it 10 out of 10. And for detail, the detail is quite high. The moss that you have going on, along with the shaders and the rocks and the water, I gave it 9 out of 10. And for skill, you did quite well with 19 out of 10. I do not know if you used Bforartist or not, so I haven't given the bonus here, but in total you have 81 points. So that's quite good. That's really good. After that, and in fact, with that, you actually have earned 3rd place. So this means we have 2 more pieces to take a look at. So Soikala, congratulations with 3rd place. I'm really happy that you managed to get this far, and I really can't wait to see more of your work. This is the first piece I've seen of you here in the server. I can't wait to see more. I really want to know what you do, what inspires you, and hopefully, I can see more of your work in the server soon. Oh, did I talk of Ethan Avila yet? I did not. Oh, I skipped one. Sorry. So Ethan Avila, you have a total score. You're just behind 3rd place by 1 point. You had 80 points. But just for the qualification, you had 13 in originality, a woman in a window. That's something I have seen before, but it is quite good. When it comes to style, it's kind of a stylized realism. I have seen your work before, and you've hit higher levels, but this one was still quite good, so I gave it 8 out of 10. When it comes to story, I know exactly what's happening. I don't know why, but it is good. Her expression is really interesting. 9 out of 10. When it comes to composition, I found a little bit heavy to the left, just a little bit. And so I gave it an 8 out of 10. When it comes to lighting, 9 out of 10. There are some sharp shadows with the soft shadows. It's very realistic, but I wasn't sure if that was going to hit the story. So a slight room for improvement, but you did really well. So 9 out of 10. When it comes to detail, the details are also excellent. 8 out of 10. And you had quite a high skill level, 15 out of 20. And the Bforartists bonus, I've seen your interesting theme, and it's really good. I'm glad it's very retro. I loved it. So the 10% Bforartists bonus, and with that you have 80 points. So now, 2nd place, drum roll. We've got Chris Brad and Belsunce. And this is where the head-to-head happens. So before we continue, and also thanks Ethan for playing. I know that it was a bit rough to come into it, but I'm glad that you managed to play. So, without further ado, can you guys guess, out of these 2 very good pieces, I had to evaluate 3 times to see if I could break the tie, to see who could be the next splash screen of Bforartists 4.1.0. Is it Chris Brad, or is it Belsunce? Some people voted for Chris. Chris is screaming out there. Belsunce. Chris says Belsunce looks nicer. Oh, who could it be? Okay. So I'm going to just go through the points. The points are similar. Maybe 2 points difference. So I'm going to do both of them at the same time. So with Belsunce's originality, I thought it was quite original. It is a comic book style with a spaceship that I've seen before. But it is a very interesting original piece with a nice mixture of colors, especially bringing out the red into the ship. So I gave it 19 out of 20. For Chris, I've seen these planets before, but you've done an excellent piece, and this particular piece here in the background with the laser shooting down onto the moon of this particular planet, heating it up it was something else, and I thought it was really good. So I gave it 17 out of 20. When it comes to style, Belsunce really hit the style on the nail with the cross-hatching, the effects of the style, the line art, the colors, everything. The style was very well done. So I gave that a 10 out of 10. Chris hit a very realistic style. You hit the lighting, you've hit the rendering, you hit the space vibe, you hit the lens flares, the realism. You did very well. It's very hard to see what could have improved or not. So I gave you 9 out of 10, almost a 10. When it comes to story, Belsunce has a spaceship flying through the city. It is very clear that it's going somewhere, just like this other one. and we're not sure where it's going, but it's going at full speed. I gave it 9 out of 10. When it comes to story, Chris, I gave you a perfect score of 10 out of 10 because your story with the laser shooting through the logo, destroying the planet, I thought it was a really genius detail. So this is where things become a little bit difficult, composition. When it comes to Bforartists, I actually flipped the image. I think I flipped the image, but it did work. In the end, balance was very nice with the logo and the hero. I gave it a 10 out of 10. And with Chris, the hero planet is big, and the story planet, which is the secondary hero, is a little small. And I thought, oh, if it was a bit more balanced with that particular story in mind, with that composition, you could have taken away another point. So I gave you 9 out of 10, but good work. It was a really nice piece, beautiful piece. You wanted to share the detail, and that was really good. So nicely done. When it comes to lighting, both Bforartists and Chris had 10 out of 10. Like these pieces concerning the lighting, the contrast, the coloring, perfect. So 10 out of 10 for both of them. When it comes to detail, the detail about Bforartists with the line art, the cross-hatching, the compositing, even the post-processing, same with the details of the lens flare, the atmosphere being penetrated by the heat. Oh, I wish I had that in higher definition. And which I do here a little bit. It's really nice. The streams of the lava and things like that. In the end, I gave you both 10 out of 10. And for you, Chris, I know this is running on Eevee in real time. So that's an even more impressive aspect where you're using volumetrics or assistance or ray matching and things like that running real time on Eevee. That's quite a feat. I gave you 20 out of 20 when it came to skill. With Bforartists, I gave him 18 out of 20 because the coloring and the composition and the way he positioned and made the piece was very intentional. Either one of you, I know that you use Blender, so there's no 10% bonus, or else you would have taken the cream of the cake. But in total, if you've been doing your math, with second place, we have Chris Brad with 85 points. Congratulations, Chris, you got second place. So you get a free Geometry Nodes course from Arendelle and the Tree Forge Geometry Nodes group. Congratulations, Chris. And first place, we have Bforartists, who has just won with 86 points. 85, 86, 1 point difference. It was a tight race, but it was a good one. So Bforartists, congratulations. You've just earned yourself Spock and Sci-Fi Flex, 2 excellent sci-fi add-ons that will help you with your short films and for creating future details for your future projects and features that you're working on. Thank you for playing. Thank you for working with this particular competition. Well done. And really good work. So without further ado, I guess we can move on to the next section of the show. So congrats. I will be in the private messages after this stream. I will give you the discount codes so that you can purchase one of these, or so you can get each one of these prizes for free from the work. So thank you, everyone. We now have a new special splash screen, which means we can now compile the new splash screen into the release. I'm going to do that now. It's going to take a small moment. We're going to take a quick look. We can also compile the light version, which is a little bit faster. Oops, there's an error. Oh, that's because it's open. Has it finished? Not yet. Here we go. Drum roll time. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on. 0, -1, -2. Nearly there. Okay, I'll just let it compile. Anyway, it should look similar to this one, as you can see here, with the image, but it's coming. It's coming. It's still cooking. There it goes. Finished cooking. All right, let's go. Let's load it up. And here is the new Splashscreen, which is the wrong one. I need to re-export it. Help, Splashscreen. Let's re-export the correct one. Here it is. So I've got the dark logo. So let's bring out the light logo and remove the dark one. There you go. Art by Belsunce. Congratulations. We'll export the file, save it, go back to compiling, just close it, make the light version because it's nice and quick, let it do its compiling, also recompile the release. Oops, there's an error. Why? Was it because it opened or closed? Maybe, that's why it was still open. What? Failed to write the updated manifest of the resources with the following output. That's strange. Always something weird happens when you're alive. So I'll just build a debug. But anyway, at the end of today, I'll give you your own current version with the latest release. So talking about the latest release, have you guys heard of the latest from Blender 4.1.0? Well, let's take a closer look. And also the release did compile correctly. Nice. So let's open that up. Here it is. There it is. Nice. Splashscreen. Let's go into the main view. Splashscreen view. Congratulations, Belsunce. It looks great. I love it. I'm going to take a screen capture. Alright, so what's new? Well, Blender has got a whole bunch of new things going on and it's very exciting. But I'm going to give you a quick tour of, well, let's take a look at the top 5 things from Blender on the new release notes. Download. So Blender 4.1 has got a number of new features, including you got baking. You can bake your nodes inside of geometry nodes, which makes it more performance. Got new switch nodes and a lot more new nodes, which are also in Bforartists. And also we got a couple extra from Blender 4.2. They also smoothing by angle has been replaced by an actual modifier, and now you can smooth by angle as an Act 1's operator. Very useful. And we also have GPU denoising with Open Image Denoiser, which is really good, really fast. New Kawahara works in there, and the Pixelate node work much better. Inside of the compositor, the real-time compositor works fully with depth pass and color pass, and works in the viewport very nicely. We've got hierarchy in bone collections for hierarchy, better selection and painting with an actual interface things, motion paths in cameras. We also have a lot of new interesting tools for the graph editor, and there's lots of cool things like that. New scopes that run faster. The video sequencer editor is a lot more performant and nicer, and using these scopes you can actually almost get you can turn on experimental inside of Bforartists to use the GPU compositor, which makes all of the nodes work with the GPU compositor and makes it instant. So color balancing is now very fast. And there's lots of other things that they've added. But what did we add to Blender? So first things first, this toolbar has been remade to be fixed. So now this toolbar, when you open up Bforartists for the first time, regardless of your monitor, this toolbar no longer changes its size and doesn't collapse automatically. And we've managed to change the way that you can change and edit these panels directly from the get-go, and also show and collapse different panels when you need them and only when you have enabled them. So this top bar has also got a system to reset to default whenever you need to, so that if I'm in, for example, my mesh editing or the primitives and I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on and I think, oh, that's a bit too much, I can go to my extra options and reset my primitives to the default. So this new toolbar has not replaced the other toolbar, which means you can now have the second toolbar and you can tell it to be to whatever way you can customize and use your toolbar and replace it and move it anywhere you want them to be elsewhere into the interface. So here it is down at the bottom with my primitives. So we have the toolbar editor and a fixed toolbar that you can turn on or off at the top or on again, and it is now fixed and collapsible. So it's very exciting. Another thing that we worked on is we have a new workspace called the Video 3D Sequencer. So underneath video editing, there is the 3D sequencer. So what is the 3D sequencer? Let me just load up a scene just to give you an example. So under here, tutorials, scenes, animatic. Let's take a look at this animatic. It's just going to take a moment to load. There it is. We've got some colored strips here. And let's just turn on the add-on. So if we go into Edit, Preferences, there is a new add-on. Actually, we have two new add-ons. Today we have the 3D Sequencer add-on. And the 3D Sequencer add-on basically gives us the ability to pin a scene to the animatic. And from there, we're able to take a closer look at all of the scenes. So if we go into, for example, the first shot, which is this one here, let's just go into rendered mode. If I turn on the synchronization with the pinned scene, which is this animatic scene, which contains scene strips, all of these scene strips, if we turn on the synchronization. So first things first, you create a master scene with the scene strips. You create a shot scene, which contains a camera and render settings and your whatever information you need in your scene. You can add the scene strip to the timeline. So you go to add scene, add in one of the scene strips, and then from there, turn on synchronization. And when you turn on synchronization, this starts to allow us to scrub one timeline and switch between cameras and scenes and edit these scenes all in one single timeline. This is code thanks to Falk and also Spa Studios from Spain, who have left their code from their movie studio. So with Z Knight's help, Trung Phang from Southeast Asia, he helped us to convert the code and bring it to Bforartists 4.1.0. And with this particular code, we've managed to adapt the add-on so that we can change the shots and bring out the best of linear animation by stacking and editing cameras. So for example, I could edit this camera, I can cut it, move it over here, bring it here, and now I've just changed the edit and we're back here again. So it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. You also have a widget for like retiming your shots. You know, you can retime it so that they make them longer or shorter, and you can change the position of your shots and things like that. And you have a number of the play from master scene, so you can play them all together if I press play. Boom. So now it automatically switches between all the scenes and updates the timeline automatically between all of the shots. So this is one excellent new feature with Bforartists 4.1. And after that, let me just show you the next feature. So let me just pause the playback. The new add-on, Preferences, is called the Power User Tools. So the Power User Tools is a new add-on which will have a number of extra tools to help us work. And in this particular case, when I have Grease Pencil, for example, I now have an animation tab that I can use to keyframe animations, bake keyframes, clear keyframes, change the keying set, etc. And also with the new Blender, we have a new system of animation. So we can click on a button, hold down Alt to click, but we can also press I and it will record a default keying set. And on top of that, if I am in draw mode, I also have the ability to access a new frame or duplicate a frame and add that into the actual timeline when I need it. But on top of that, if I'm a traditional animator, I might want to nudge all my frames to the left or to the right, or pull them in towards the timeline here. So we've got new operators to help us do that with the power sequencer tools, with the power user tools, sorry. And all of the other features coming in from Blender, including changes to how face sets work a little bit, changes to how geometry nodes work. Oh, and here's another cool thing. Modifiers are now split up into two groups. So we have the old modifier panel, and on top of that, we can also search for whatever we want. So for example, subdivision, there it is. Or if we want to find geometry nodes, there it is. And on top of that, we've also divided the assets into a separate panel, which you can also search. So for example, if we need the normals, smooth by angle, it just adds it from here using a search built inside of the actual system. So we can now use auto smooth from this particular space from here. All of these panels, from constraints to, you can now search constraints as well. So for example, I need to copy location, or I want just location constraints, or I want tracking constraints. Whoops, let me move that back. It will filter all of them. And this code was thank you to Quackers, who actually made an add-on for Blender to do this, but now it is actually built into Bforartist as a default. And it makes all of these constraints for your armatures and things like that, modifier stack, all of the add menus in the properties editor, the one and same experience. And there are many other new features, including we added back Shift A to add the menu here, just like you would with Blender, so that it is the same. And also inside of the outliner, you can right click and you can duplicate and duplicate linked. So now you can like right click on a button, and so for example, Shift D, I want to like duplicate this button. Let's just add a shortcut, Shift D. So now I'm in the outliner and I can now duplicate directly, or Alt duplicate, Alt D to link duplicate any object directly from the outliner. So these are just some of the new features from Bforartists 4.1.0. Belsensei won the splash screen and everybody won their prizes. And this was Bforartists 103. So, if you're still here, if you have any questions, or if you would like to say something extra, feel free to come onto the stage or open up your microphone. If you have questions about this next release, now is the perfect time to ask about it. I plan to do these sessions more frequently in the near future. We've got a lot cooking for you, especially with Iyad's help and your help. We're going to make this a great default artistic tool for you. So thank you for playing. Thank you for competing. Thank you for sharing your art, being part of the community, being part of this project, and also creating art with this software and all the hard work that we do. I wish you a very happy week, and I will see you in the next live session. Oh, and if you have a question, just let me know. Chris Brad is writing. Never mind. Don't worry. Oh, it's all good. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I guess I'll leave it at that. I will talk to you later, and later today, I hope one final note, the Bforartists 4.1.0 release will happen later today. I'm still working on that. So just give me a couple of hours and then I will start compiling and pushing this to download for free. So have a good one. Talk to you later.